In the winding corridors of American numismatic history, few coins stand out quite like the 1989 Washington quarter dollar. To the casual observer, it might seem like just another coin in their pocket change, something that passes through hands without much thought or reverence. But beneath its modest appearance lies a story layered with historical significance, minute design decisions, hidden rarities, and collector intrigue that stretches far beyond its face value. The year was 1989, a time of transition and change both within the United States and globally. The Cold War tensions were slowly unraveling, the Berlin Wall's fall was imminent, and the world was beginning to shift into a new era. At home, the U.S. economy was in a state of recovery from earlier recessionary pressures. Amid these social and economic shifts, the United States Mint continued its long-standing tradition of producing the Washington quarter, a coin that had by then been in circulation for over half a century. First minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the quarter had become a staple of American coinage. By 1989, it had gone through various subtle changes, but still carried the essence of its original purpose, a tribute to the nation's first president. The obverse of the 1989 Washington quarter features a profile portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan. This depiction of Washington was inspired by a bust sculpted by Jean-Antoine Houdon in 1785, which itself was considered one of the most accurate representations of the man. Flanagan's interpretation captured Washington's resolute character and timeless dignity. By 1989, this familiar visage had graced millions upon millions of quarters, yet each year's production bore the hallmarks of its time, minute differences in die-wear, metal composition, and minting precision. The 1989 quarters were minted at several U.S. mint facilities, namely Philadelphia, No Mint Mark, Denver, D Mint Mark, and San Francisco, S Mint Mark, for proof coins. The Denver Mint, in particular, played a crucial role in producing business strike quarters that would enter everyday circulation. Collectors often seek out these quarters for their clean strikes and higher quality compared to the Philadelphia issues, which sometimes suffered from weaker detail due to high-volume production. A critical aspect that numismatists focus on when analyzing the 1989 quarter is its composition. By this time, the traditional silver alloy had long since been replaced. Beginning in 1965, quarters were made from a clad composition consisting of an inner core of pure copper and outer layers of a copper-nickel alloy. This change was initiated to reduce costs and preserve the diminishing silver reserves. Thus, the 1989 quarter features this modern clad construction, which affects not only its appearance but also its weight and acoustic properties. An authentic 1989 Washington quarter should weigh approximately 5.67 grams and have a reeded edge consisting of 119 reeds. One of the more fascinating elements of the 1989 Washington quarter story involves error coins and varieties. These anomalies, often the result of equipment malfunctions or human error during the minting process, have become the holy grail for certain collectors. Known varieties from 1989 include off-center strikes, double dies, and clipped planchets. Each of these represents a unique glimpse into the minting process, a frozen moment where the machinery of coin production faltered just enough to produce something rare. For instance, a double die obverse, a condition where the die imprints the image more than once in a slightly offset manner, can increase a coin's value dramatically if the doubling is prominent and easily visible to the naked eye. The collector appeal of the 1989 Washington quarter has steadily grown over the years. Initially, many of these coins were overlooked due to their ubiquity and base metal composition. However, as time progressed and pristine examples became scarcer in circulation, collectors began to appreciate the nuances that distinguish a high-grade 1989 quarter from the rest. Coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC often fetch premium prices, especially if they are in mint state condition, MS65 or higher. Proof coins from the San Francisco Mint are particularly desirable for their mirror-like fields and sharp details, often preserved in original government packaging. Auction records and market activity have demonstrated that the 1989 Washington quarter can command astonishing prices when the right conditions are met. A perfect storm of rarity, condition, and demand has seen some of these coins sell for thousands, and in extreme cases, tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. One such coin, struck in Denver and graded at a near-perfect MS-68, was sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $192,000. What made this coin special was not just its condition, but a subtle doubling in the legend and an almost flawless surface, making it a once-in-a-lifetime find for the winning bidder. What makes the tale of the 1989 quarter so enthralling is that it's not just a story of metal and minting, it's a story of chance, persistence, and passion. Every coin in your pocket has a history, but few have the potential for revelation like the Washington quarter from this pivotal year. It serves as a reminder that even the most ordinary object can conceal extraordinary secrets. The 1989 quarter continues to circulate among us, unassuming and unnoticed, yet within some of those worn and weathered discs lies the potential for astonishing value. Today, as the coin approaches decades in age, its status as a collectible has only solidified. Collectors scour rolls, estate sales, and coin shows in search of that elusive high-grade or rare specimen. Some chase it for investment, others for the thrill of the hunt, and many simply because it connects them to a tangible piece of American history. It's a pursuit that transcends mere currency and taps into a deeper cultural nostalgia, a longing for stories embedded in metal and preserved through generations. From the bustling floor of the Denver Mint in 1989 to the velvet-lined cases of modern collectors, the journey of this humble quarter is a testament to its lasting legacy. For every coin that slips through the cracks of everyday commerce, one might just be holding a treasure in disguise. And with market valuations now soaring between $17,000 and $192,000 for pristine or rare examples, that treasure might be far more valuable than most ever imagined. In the quiet rhythm of American coinage, there are years that stand out not because of grand historical events or global shifts, but because of the subtle, almost imperceptible legacy left behind by small metal pieces we carry in our pockets. The year 1991 was such a time. The world was evolving. The Cold War was drawing its last breath, technology was entering a new phase, and amidst all of this, the United States Mint was quietly producing what would become a highly coveted piece among collectors, the 1991 Washington $quarter coin. For most people, this coin was simply a means of purchasing a cup of coffee, a parking meter token, or change dropped into a vending machine. But for a select few, it represented something much more significant, a relic of American craftsmanship, history, and hidden value. To understand the essence of the 1991 Washington quarter, one must go back to the beginnings of the Washington quarter itself. Introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the coin quickly became a permanent fixture of U.S. currency. The obverse design, featuring a left-facing profile of George Washington, was created by John Flanagan. His sculpted portrayal of the nation's first president was simple yet dignified, capturing the strength and integrity of a man who helped shape the foundation of the country. This design would remain largely unchanged for decades, a testament to its enduring appeal. The 1991 Washington quarter continued this legacy. Produced in both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, it featured the traditional copper-nickel-clad composition that had been in place since 1965, when silver was removed from circulating quarters. The coin weighed 5.67 grams and had a diameter of 24.26 millimeters. What made certain 1991 quarters stand out, however, was not the basic composition or even the historical figure on its face. It was the intricate details, minting anomalies, and low-population high-grade examples that elevated this everyday coin into the realm of numismatic treasure. Minting a coin is never a flawless process, and in 1991, various minting errors were discovered that caught the attention of collectors. These errors ranged from off-center strikes and double dies to clipped planchets and misaligned dies. Such anomalies, while unintended, created coins that were one of a kind. In the numismatic world, rarity combined with demand drives value. And the 1991 quarter had both. But it wasn't just errors that made the 1991 quarter desirable. High-grade specimens, those preserved in near-perfect condition, also garnered intense interest. Coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC in MS67 or higher were exceedingly rare. The coin's intricate details, such as the spacing of the lettering, the sharpness of Washington's profile, and the clarity of the eagle on the reverse, had to be pristine. Achieving such preservation over decades required storage under ideal conditions, away from circulation and environmental contaminants. Collectors often recount tales of discovery, finding one of these rare quarters in pocket change, inherited coin collections, or rolls purchased from the bank. For many, it is the thrill of the hunt, the possibility of stumbling upon an overlooked gem that keeps the passion alive. As interest in vintage coins surged, the 1991 quarter slowly climbed the ladder of desirability. Coin shows, online auctions, and numismatic forums began featuring stories and images of uniquely preserved or error-marked 1991 quarters. Some examples were sold for astonishing prices, depending on their grade and error type. Beyond physical condition and rarity, the 1991 Washington quarter holds cultural and emotional significance. It's a symbol of a time not too far removed, a touchstone to the early 90s, a period of change, both domestically and globally. Children who collected state quarters years later often recall their parents having old jars filled with pre-1999 coins, the 1991 quarter among them, quietly waiting to be recognized for its worth. And recognized it was. Numismatists agree that values have skyrocketed for specific high-grade or rarer 1991 quarters. As of today, confirmed auction sales and private deals have seen this coin reach astonishing figures. Prices can range depending on the specifics, from $12,000 for verified error coins in circulated condition to a jaw-dropping $185,000 for a pristine MS68 specimen with exceptional luster and rarity. These aren't hypothetical values. They're real, documented figures paid by collectors driven by passion and history. In the end, the 1991 Washington quarter is more than just currency. It's a capsule of time, a reflection of design continuity, and a testimony to how something seemingly mundane can hold extraordinary value. As viewers and collectors alike marvel at this humble quarter's journey, they're reminded that treasure often lies in plain sight, sometimes in your pocket, sometimes in a dusty old jar, but always within reach if you know where to look. And so, the story of the 1991 Washington quarter continues, echoing through collector circles, auction houses, and perhaps most importantly, in the hands of someone who one day picks up a coin and realizes they might just be holding a piece of history worth far more than 25 cents. It began in a time when America was on the cusp of modernity yet still deeply rooted in tradition. The year was 1984, a moment marked by a blend of optimism for the future and a steadfast remembrance of the past. On one hand, technological wonders and cultural revolutions were taking hold, and on the other, symbols of the nation's heritage were forged with the same care as ever. Among these enduring symbols was the Washington $quarter coin. In 1984, this coin was more than just a tool of commerce. It was a quiet ambassador of American history, crafted in the same spirit that had immortalized the first president on its face all those years ago. In every detail of its design, the 1984 Washington quarter spoke of legacy and artistry. The coin bore the dignified profile of George Washington, rendered with a calm authority that seemed to capture both the resolve and the quiet perseverance of a leader. The engraving, influenced by the original designs that had graced coins since the early days of the Republic, was the work of master engravers whose visions blended realism and idealism into an indelible image. This portrait was not merely a likeness, but a carefully considered representation of leadership and virtue. The smooth curve of Washington's hair, the thoughtful set of his features, and the delicate interplay of light and shadow created an impression that resonated with both history buffs and casual observers alike. The reverse of the coin was equally captivating. Set against a background that recalled the soaring ideals of the nation, the intricate design featured finely detailed elements that resonated with symbolism. Some coins of that era were struck with a design that echoed the bald eagle or other national emblems, while others retained echoes of classic motifs that had been modernized for a contemporary audience. In 1984, The Washington quarter was a perfect marriage of past and present, a coin that embodied the promise of a new era without forsaking the wisdom of history. It was as if the coin itself was a storyteller, its every line and contour conveying tales of battles fought for independence, of ideals refined in the crucible of revolution, and of a country forging its identity through both struggle and triumph. Yet beneath this aesthetic brilliance lay the meticulous science of coin production, a process that was as much about precision engineering as it was about art. Deep within the walls of the mint, enormous presses hammered out the coins with a rhythmic, almost hypnotic pulse. The 1984 Washington quarter was crafted with a level of care that ensured each coin was an exact replica of its intended design. But perfection in mass production is a rarity, and even the most advanced machinery can sometimes introduce subtle variations. Over millions of pieces, there emerged a handful of coins that displayed quirks and anomalies, those tiny deviations born from a minute misalignment of dies, a slight inconsistency in the metal alloy, or an imperfection in the planchet itself. For most, these anomalies were invisible, imperceptible to the casual observer, but for collectors, they were the seeds of legend. Among the thousands of coins that rolled off the press, a few stood out as remarkable exceptions. In the bustling hum of production, a rare variant had emerged, a coin with a slight double impression along the rim, an almost ghostly echo of Washington's profile that gave the coin an almost otherworldly depth. In some instances, the finish was so flawless it shone with a brilliance that defied the routine wear of circulation. Such coins, although forged in the same year as their more common brethren, became coveted relics, treasured as much for the serendipity of their creation as for their intrinsic beauty. Collectors, those dedicated guardians of history and art, began to notice these rare incidents with increasing fervor. In the dim light of coin shows, and behind the pristine glass cases of hobby shops, whispered conversations spread about a 1984 Washington quarter that was not just an ordinary piece of change. It was an anomaly that had survived the ebb and flow of time with its luster undiminished, a coin that offered a glimpse into the perfection possible in a flawed world. Expert hands carefully examined these coins, using magnifying lenses and state-of-the-art grading tools to determine just how exceptional they were. When one such coin was authenticated as a nearly perfect specimen, with a preserved strike that captured every nuance of its design, it sent shockwaves through the community. The coin was graded in the highest possible condition, its surfaces immaculate, its details sharp beyond belief. As collectors traded stories, and auction houses began to buzz with excitement, the true narrative of the 1984 Washington quarter began to unfold, a narrative of mystery, persistence, and the unpredictable twists of fate. Every coin carried with it the legacy of its creation, but these rare examples transcended their physical form. They became symbols of what could happen when history, art, and chance converged. The coin's journey was measured not only in the number of years it had survived but also in the profound impact it had on those who recognized its worth. While countless quarters had been minted and circulated, a select few held a value that defied their modest origins, attracting bids that soared from tens of thousands to over $200,000. In hushed tones, specialists would remark on the enigmatic allure of these coins, emphasizing that within the cold gleam of metal lay a story of triumph, a tale of how a simple object was transformed into something priceless. For many, owning one of these extraordinary coins became a lifelong dream, a trophy representing both the beauty of American history and the marvels of modern minting technology. Investors, intrigued by the steady rise in collectible coin values, saw in these coins not just a memento, but a solid asset that would appreciate over time. Exhibitions and articles were devoted to unearthing the history behind each mint error, each minute variation that set one coin apart from billions of its peers. Every detail was scrutinized, from the subtle curvature of Washington's features to the even spacing of the lettering that encircled the coin's edge. The story of the 1984 Washington quarter, with its blend of perfection and imperfection, became a microcosm of American resilience, a reminder that even in the pursuit of exactitude, there is room for unpredictable wonder. In the dim light of private auctions, as seasoned collectors exchanged knowing glances, and the room filled with the low hum of anticipation, the climax of the coin's tale was ready to be revealed. After years of careful tracking and expert validation, one particular coin emerged from the fray, a specimen so flawless, so richly detailed, that its value soared beyond the wildest dreams of those who had first discovered it. In the bidding war that followed, the coin's price climbed steadily, each offer a testament to the reverence held for this small, silver disk of history. When the bidding finally halted, the record was set. The 1984 Washington quarter had achieved a final hammer price ranging astonishingly between $22,000 and $203,000, a figure that transformed it from a mere piece of currency to a legendary artifact. As the coin now rests in a vault, protected by those who understand its worth. It serves as a timeless reminder that history is not only written in textbooks, but also cast in metal. Every time someone gazes upon this coin, they see more than the visage of a founding father. They witness the confluence of art, craft, and destiny, a powerful symbol of how the smallest of things can hold immeasurable value. In the end, the 1984 Washington quarter is far more than a piece of money. It's a story waiting to be told, a legacy preserved against all odds, and a beacon of inspiration for collectors and dreamers alike.